All right, this is the video that I told you I was going to produce for you to help you with your audio on your projects and anything else. So this is for all you educators out there, for content creators. This is just a very quick and simple guide to getting your audio sounding good without spending anything on gear, basically. Before I dive into programs and other things that you will use for your projects, I want to just talk very simply about your environment that you're recording in. Your sound environment is really important. You need to be aware of where you're recording and what's going on around you. First of all, make sure you have no fans on or air conditioners, even though I know it gets hot down there. Make sure there are no appliances running in the background, even though I have a fridge back behind me here. And make sure that there's nothing else on, like a TV or anything like that. You want it completely silent behind you. Believe me, believe it or not, frequencies from appliances can cancel out frequencies from your own voice. So if there is something running, it will make it difficult to understand what you're saying because it's actually canceling out some of the frequencies that you're speaking at. So keep that in mind, number one. Number two, think about the room that you're recording in. I'm in the kitchen right now, but it's pretty dead. It's pretty dead in this room right now. It's not a lot of sound. Some of the stuff that you guys produced sounds like you recorded it in a cathedral. I'm guessing that you were in the lobby of Old Norman Hall or some other spot. There was talking in the background, but it was really echoey and very reverb-y. I'll explain those terms a little bit later. But it just means that there's a lot of ambient sound going on around you, and it's washing out your voice. You can't hear what you're saying. And this can even happen in a large room in your house, especially if you have nothing hanging on the walls, if it's all reflective surfaces. So you want to find the smallest room you can to record in, okay? Now in studios, vocal booths are no bigger than a phone booth, if you remember those. So you want to kind of use that as your starting point. Keep it as small as possible. Now, I know a bathroom is a small room, but it has a lot of reflective surfaces. It has tile all over the place, unless you haven't updated since the 1970s and you would still have carpet in your bathroom, which is gross. But you want to avoid reflective surfaces like tiles and things like that. So it's best if you don't maybe do it in your kitchen or in your garage that has concrete all over the place. So be aware of the room that you're in. Make it the smallest room possible, and it's going to be a lot easier to get your audio clean, okay? So these are just a few tips. Also, one more thing, make sure that you can do this undisturbed. I know a lot of you have kids. I know you have animals barking, crying, all the other stuff. So you really want to look for that moment when you can get that half hour of peace or whatever it is you need to do to get the audio part completed. So keep all these things in mind. This is very simple stuff. It doesn't cost anything. You just need to be aware of your surroundings while you're recording. But please do not record in like a big hall or a big empty meeting room or something like that, because it's going to wash out your narration. All right. So having said that, I'm going to kick it over to Camtasia, where I'm going to show you Audacity, mainly, how to use some of the features of it, because you can always fix this stuff. But always keep in mind, you want to get it right at the mic. You don't want to have to go back and fix it in the mix, as we say. So, yes, you can fix things, but it's better just to get it right as you record it, okay? So I'm going to kick it over to there. Stick with me, and I'll see you there. All right, we're here at Audacity. Now, everything I'm going to show you, I'm trying to do on the cheap, okay? Now, you could get a microphone, or you could even get an audio interface, which are very cheap. And if you're a content creator and you plan on doing a lot of this stuff, I do suggest you check out audio interfaces and good microphones, okay? Get a condenser microphone, by the way, if you want to do podcasting, educational videos, any other type of content. Condenser mic is the way to go. But we're not using that today, okay? I am just using the microphone that's in my laptop. Now, let's check out the audio setup. The host core audio is what every basic laptop is going to run off of, so don't worry about that. I'm using a MacBook. I apologize to you PC users if some of these things may not transfer easily. I hope you can replicate all this on your PC. I do not have one, so this is what we got. MacBook Pro speakers, that's what I'm hearing things out of. The recording device is the microphone, okay? And you see I have a ton of choices here. We're just going to use the microphone that's in the laptop. I'm using mono, okay? Now, the difference between mono and stereo is if you're going to use stereo, that means you're probably going to do some panning, which means going from left to right and right to left. Mono, you're going to get left and right, but they're just going to be the exact same thing. And for narration, which is all we're concerned with today, that's all you need. So just keep it mono. It'll be easier to work with later. Now, if you check out your audio settings, you're going to see a lot of the same things you just saw. One thing you may be curious about is the 44-100 hertz. That's standard for audio. CD, if you're looking for CD quality, it may be 48,000 hertz. But you don't really need that. Not for narration. We're not doing music here, so don't worry about that. And we want to try and keep our file sizes small, right? Projects take longer to load if you have higher file sizes, and we really want to try and avoid that. So keep it at 44 and 100, and everything else here is just fine. You don't need to worry about it. All right. So you're going to record your narration. Hopefully you've done a script, so you know what you're saying. Please rehearse. Please rehearse your scripts before you start doing this. For this video, I'm not using a script, which is why I may, stumble on my words a little bit. But if I were doing this for an actual project that needed to be submitted, I would rehearse that script. And I would make sure that I can get through the entire thing without stumbling, okay? Now, you can do this in segments. You don't have to do the entire script in one shot. If you know there's going to be natural breakpoints, use those. Stop the recording, take a breath, see what's coming next, then start the recording up again. Nobody's going to know the difference. So you don't always have to hit it in one take. You can chop it up and do it in segments. So I'm going to hit record just so I can record my voice right now. And as I'm recording, you can see the waves coming up, the sound waves being produced. Now, if you're using your mic on your computer, try and maintain the same distance from that mic the entire time. If you're moving back and forth, like if I'm way back here, you see that those sound waves are getting smaller. If you're rocking back and forth and you come up here, you're going to see the sound waves get bigger. And then you're going to have uneven sound throughout your entire production. Not good. You want to keep the sound waves as even as possible across the entire narration, okay? Try and keep the same level going the entire way. If you're using your phone to create your narration, please export it into Audacity and then work with it the same way. It's really not good going from like voice memos or whatever you're using directly into your project, because if you're using your phone, you're probably, in a different area. You may be outside where there's lots of ambient noise, there's people talking. And just the microphone on this thing, as good as they have gotten, are just not going to be as good, okay? So import from your phone into Audacity and then work with the audio there. All right, I'm going to stop this. I've talked enough. We have enough example here. So you can see that the audio here, these sound waves, there's a lot of space around there, and we may want to get this a little bit louder, okay? So what you can do is you triple click on the clip, and that will select the entire clip, okay? Hit Effect, go to Volume and Compression, and then click Amplify. Now, you can increase the volume here. Now you see this allow clipping? Clipping is not good, okay? Clipping means that the audio is peaking and causing distortion. Usually there's some red indicator or something telling you that this is happening. If I crank this thing all the way up, and hit apply, you can see that there's no space, right? That is going to sound distorted and ugly, and you do not want to deal with that. All right. So let's go back or actually you can click Command Z and it'll return it right to its original form. But let's go back to amplify. All right. I'm going to click off of allow clipping. Now you see I can't hit apply because if I go above a certain level, that means that it's going to clip. So get it right to the point where the apply button is still usable and then click on it. And you can see that my volume has increased. So now I've gotten it louder, okay? A few other things that you may want to do. Now, my suggestion is that as you're using audio, you use headphones. Listen to it through headphones because then you can really hear what's happening. You can hit Effect, EQ, and Filters and go to Graphic EQ. Oh, sorry. I have to select it first. So triple click on the clip, hit Effect, EQ and Filters, Graphic EQ. This is how you can adjust each individual frequency. Now, usually when it opens up, it's completely flat across the bottom. What is a good idea is you may want to increase the higher frequencies on this side. Where you see K, that's kilohertz. So those are really high frequencies. Humans cannot hear past 20 kilohertz. So that's as high as it goes. Down here is just plain old hertz. 20 hertz is the lowest frequency that humans can hear. So you may want to bring up the bass a little bit. For you, it's kind of your call. It's kind of your taste. Listen to it. And then you can EQ it. Keep going back and forth. EQing, listening. Seeing how the different EQs that you're using can increase the quality and the range of what you're saying. For people with disabilities, some people can't hear certain frequencies, so turning up those frequencies or adjusting or lowering some things will make it better for people to hear. You need to experiment with this. There's no one way of doing this. It's your hearing, it's the way you want to sound, but you will see a richness start to grow in it as you adjust these different EQ meters, all right? So I'm just going to hit apply, whatever they were, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to kick this back to the beginning. Let's listen. Record, just so I can record my voice right now. So there you go. You can hear it. It's pretty clear. It's not bad. Now, here's the thing, though. In many of your projects, you want to add music. You want to have like this underlayer of music happening, right? So what I suggest is that you do all of that in Audacity. Instead of trying to do everything in iMovie, I know you can, get your sound exactly the way you want it, and then all you have to do is plop it right into iMovie. That's it. And it'll be super simple. And that way, all you have to worry about is getting your images or your video or whatever it is aligned and properly, synced with the audio. The audio is a done deal. You don't have to think about it. So now we're in the audio. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit File and Import Audio. Now, I downloaded this one random royalty-free music clip, okay? And as soon as it pops in, you're like, whoa, that's pretty loud, right? You can see it's much louder than what my narration, my voiceover would be, so we need to bring this down. A lot of problems I've seen in projects is that your music overcomes your narration, completely obliterating what we can hear you saying. So triple click on that clip, go up to Effect, Volume and Compression, Amplify, bring it down. Now, again, you may have to experiment with this. Apply. Well, I mean, that really brought it down, right? So, but let's listen. Let's see what happens here. Record, just so I can record my voice right now. And as I'm recording, you can see the waves coming up, the sound waves being produced. Now, if you're using your mic, all right, you may want to balance that a little bit differently. So triple click it again, go back to Effect, same thing, Amplify. Maybe bring it up. We can't. Just see, it always kicks it to the top level, so you're going to have to bring it down, but it's actually going to, or better yet, hit Command Z, and it'll bring it back to where it was before. Go back to the effect, amplify, bring it down a little bit less than you did before. See, and now it's going to be a little bit louder. All right, so record, just so I can record my voice right now. And as I'm recording, you can see the waves coming up, the sound waves. All right, so you see how you can adjust these things. That, for me, is a little bit too loud. I should still bring it down a little bit. One other thing, or two other things, actually, when you're including music, a music underlayer for your video, do not use music that has words in it, okay? No words, no lyrics. Do not do that. That will interfere with your narration. Number two, try not to find or use any music that has breaks in it, where there's absolute silence, because that gets awkward and that sounds weird, especially if it's a break at a point where you're trying to make a really important point, and then all of a sudden the music cuts out and it's just like, what? So, yeah, avoid music that has breaks in it. Also avoid music that may have like big dips. Like, don't use classical music, because classical music has a wide range of dynamics, and it's going to get loud and soft and loud and soft, and it gets really hard to adjust. Okay? So say we're cool with this now. We got this all done. We're ready to roll with this. We want to export it, right? We want to export the audio. We click that. We're just going to export it to the computer because we want to have it for ourselves, and this will export the entire the entire thing as one sound. The music and your narration are going to come out as one audio clip. All right, it's going to be an MP3 file, which is fine. That is probably the smallest size file you're going to get out of this. Again, you got your 44/100 hertz, the bitrate mode. Don't worry about that. If you want to jack up the quality of it, you can do 3320 kilobytes per second. That avoids that metallic sound. If you go below this, if you're down here like 145, 185, it's going to sound cheap. It's going to sound glitchy even sometimes. So be careful of that. Don't use the lowest setting. My advice is 220, 260 is probably good. Again, file size, but an MP3 should keep it low. Again, the entire project will come out as one thing. You could kick it as multiple files, which will separate these tracks. We don't want that. Entire project, you just click export, and you're good to go. You take that, you put it into your iMovie, your Premiere Pro, whatever it is you're using. All right, I hope you found this helpful. I am going to actually probably redo this in another week or so, but with much more in-depth quality. But I want you to, well, I hope this helps you at least get started with the proper way of producing audio, and it'll help you in your future projects. I'm going to post this on my YouTube page, so it'll always be there for you to check out. And again, I'll be producing more videos hopefully in the next week or so that'll help you in other ways, make your projects easier. And if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to contact me, either through YouTube, through my email with the school, or any other way. Okay? Great. I'll talk to you guys soon. Good job. Keep it up.